Hello there guys, my name is Coach Charlie, YouTube channel Donkster Born but built for Theme Park News, and welcome to another Theme Park Newsroom update. Now before I get started, we did get a shout out request for today's video, so if you want a shout out in one of tomorrow's videos, so not this one or the Busch Gardens Williamsburg one which is coming later, then comment your comments down below, give me what you want to be shouted out as, like this guy has done, and I will shout you out in one of tomorrow's videos. So that's the way the shout-outs are going to work in the videos. I'll do them at the start, and I'll do them in the following day's videos, if you know what I mean. So massive shout-out to MJ from Theme Park Life. Big shout-out to you, and to the whole of Theme Park Life, all of your mates and everything like that. A big shout-out to all of Theme Park Life, but a special shout-out to MJ from Theme Park Life. Big shout out, and now let's get into the video. So I did a video yesterday speaking on the possibility of Cloud Cuckoo Land closing just after the summer holidays at Alton Towers Resort. I'm going to develop that further and sort of look into the different rising attractions that could be in this area, as well as talking about another area at another Merlin park that's also been slated for closure, ready for a Legoland retheme. Now Lego is the big rumour at the minute, however two areas are set to be given a dual retheme. Not dual Alton Towers, don't go that far. But basically this is set to be a dual investment to Alton Towers and Thorpe Park for next year. And the big rumour is Lego, a Legoland themed area. Now this was discussed, it was in the comments for the Friday night's video, or the Cloud Cuckoo Land video from yesterday. And this was said by a big enthusiast of the channel. You know who you are. He told me it was in a post on the Merlin Pass Holders group. It's a very private group, just for Merlin annual pass holders only. And they did state that there's reports that Angry Birds Land at Thorpe Park and Cloud Cuckoo Land at Alton Towers are both set to close for Legoland areas. Now, like I said in that last video about Cloud Cuckoo Land, Legoland would not be a bad investment because Lego does some fantastic theming. It's a great family area, and I think this Lego area at Cloud Cuckoo Land really is going to sort of battle with CBeebies Land, and the Angry Birds Land refurbishment into Lego would be probably better than Angry Birds Land. Now, of course, so since I gave you a bit of history on Cloud Cuckoo Land, I'm going to give you a little bit of history on Angry Birds Land. So this replaced half of Amity Cove. The old Amity Cove, it's now called Amity, but this was Amity Cove at the time. It replaced like half of that in 2014 when it opened. We had the Angry Birds 4D experience that was built in the old 4D theatre space that was used for Pirates 4D, and then it was used for Time Voyagers, then it set SBNO, and then we got Angry Birds 4D. There's also a King Pig's Wild Hog Dodgems, which is a nice classic attraction for Thorpe Park to invest in. This is like the first main step towards their recent family investments over the last few years, because this was 2 years after the Swarm first opened, so not too long into the family investments, but sort of the start, if you know what I mean. There was also a retheme to Detonator into Detonator Bombs Away. There's also Pecky's, which is their sort of snack restaurant stall. There's also the Flock and Shop, which is the main shop in Angry Birds Land. And there's also some Battle Beams and I think a couple of other HB Leisure games. I know there was like a step ladder one, where it's like one of those impossible ones where the step ladder turns over. It's fun, but it's not exactly what you want to see. There was the Battle Beams, the opposite side of them, basically. So a couple of HB Leisures, but yeah, like I said, not too much to shout about. And of course, an Angry Birds Land arcade, I believe right next to the exit of Angry Birds 4D. So that's sort of a little bit of history on Angry Birds Land. Obviously, many people have said that it's not been the big family development they wanted, and I have to agree in some retrospect. I thought it was good at the time, but I think as the years wear on, Angry Birds got less popular and less sort of in fashion, as the teens call it. Why am I saying teens? I'm a teen. But yeah, Angry Birds just isn't in fashion anymore, so I don't think that Angry Birds would be the big family draw for Thorpe Park if they're going to be a thrill park with family investments as well. So I think we can pretty much assume that next year is going to be a family-based year from Alton Towers and Thorpe Park. Again, we still don't know what Chessington are doing, we don't know what Heidi Park are doing, We know that Gardaland's investing in the Legoland water park. Now, I stretched, and I stretched this yesterday and in the Gardaland video. This was nothing to do with the takeover from the Lego family and the Blackstone Group. This has nothing to do with them. This was planned way before that takeover was even talked about, let alone happened. So in this video, we're just going to sort of basically go over the rising attractions and sites in Cloud Cuckoo Land and Angry Birds Land, and sort of discuss what we think is going to happen in terms of what Lego themed attractions would be in that site. Now, of course, Cloud Cuckoo Land being replaced means that there's going to be a brand new Legoland archway, sort of away from where the current Cloud Cuckoo Land sign was, just to show, you know, where those newly built walls were around Twill and Toadstool's old site. And sort of where House of Monsters is. You're looking at an entrance archway maybe in those kind of sites, so you can sort of split off the dungeon and the burger kitchen into its own like separate plaza. Maybe they're going to include the dungeon as part of like a fountain square, along with Hex. But Cloud Cuckoo Land, basically, that's the area past the dungeon, which is obviously used to be Charlie. That's where this Legoland will probably be going. Same with Angry Birds Land. I don't think it's going to be replacing the whole of Amity Cove. It'll just be replacing that Angry Birds section that took over half of Amity Cove when it came in 2014. I keep saying Amity Cove, it's now Amity now. So I don't think the whole of Amity is going to get taken out. It's just the Angry Birds section that's going to get rethemed here. So let's have a look at the different attractions then, what could be in these areas. So starting off with Alton Towers and Cloud Cuckoo Land, what attractions could be in their version of this Lego section? Whether it's a Legoland or Lego City or Bricksville, we don't know. But the high rumour is a Lego themed area. Now, of course, Cloud Cuckoo Land's had a little bit of history with plans. Obviously, we had the David Williams plans for the David Williams books with the Gangster Granny retheme of Charlie before the dungeons came in. Of course, that was obviously denied due to negotiations breaking down over that deal and the licensing for the David Williams books. So let's have a look at each attraction now. First of all, the Frog Hopper. Now, knowing Alton Towers, they'll probably keep it and turn it into like a Lego themed bouncer, like the Brick Bouncer or something like that. But in my opinion, I want to see Frog Hopper scrapped. I think that Frog Hopper's last year is this year. I think Frog Hopper will leave the park at the end of the season as part of the refurbishment. Galloper's Carousel. Now, I did predict, I'm going to predict for this one that it'll be called Brickadilly's Carousel. Which actually was the former name of the old desert chase at Legoland Windsor when that was brought in. Cuckoo Cars Driving School, I believe that will be the Legoland or the Lego City Driving School, or even the Brickadilly Driving School if they're going to go for like a Brickville or a Brickadilly themed area for the name of the area. Now the Cloud Cuckoo Land Theatre / Ice Age 4D site, I think we're going to see one of three options. It could be any live show, themed to Legoland. It could be like a Lego Dimension show, something like that. A Lego Movie Everything is Awesome live show. I'd love to see that. I'd love to see some live shows back in that theatre. It's a family area, but I'd love to go and see it. Or probably the most likely option, and that is a Lego 4D film. Now, I'm going to talk more about Angry Birds Land in a minute, but I think that's probably the same scenario with the Angry Birds 4D experience, and I'll get onto that in a bit. But I think the most likely option is a Lego sort of 4D film, maybe get Lego Movie 4D in and stuff like that. Now, we don't know whether it's just going to be a Legoland area where it's all together, or maybe they're going to invest in a Lego Movie World area like they're doing over at Legoland in Europe, in Billund, for next year. It's their largest investment in park history. So, moving on to the Twirling Toadstool site, obviously we need something done to that, and I could see one of two options: a Power Tower attraction. So this is not like your traditional drop tower. This is basically, those of you who have been over to Legoland in America will have seen this Kid Power Towers that's over in the California one. Basically, you pull yourself up and you sort of drop yourself. So it's like learning through play in a way, kind of like what CBeebies Land does. So you pull the tower yourself and you have to work to try and race each other to the top of the tower. So it's a fun drop tower kind of thing. Now, possibly, now this is not definite, but possibly I want to see that Nickelodeon Out of Control side being used. That was an old sort of funhouse attraction that closed after a season or two due to low popularity. I'd like to see maybe like a Lego Imagination Centre being built there, maybe combine some buildings. I know there was like a massive like gift shop building, like opposite the driving school. Maybe combine that with Nickelodeon Out of Control and create like a huge building for like a Lego Imagination Centre. That would be a cool addition to the area, because it means people get to learn through Lego again. And in that Imagination Centre, you can have like a build your own Lego sort of area. Maybe you could have like a section of area where you can sort of close it off and make like a little robo coaster, kind of like the one. I think there's one at Legoland Windsor, if I'm not mistaken. Well, I saw the old promotional video. I was watching the Adventures of Clutch Powers DVD when I was younger, just a few years ago, and there was like a teaser for Legoland Windsor before the film started, and there was like a robo coaster being shown, not just Legoland Windsor, but in all the Legoland parks. So again, a robo coaster would be nice, and its own like little separate sort of area of the Imagination Centre. So we've just got like a few things going off in that little Imagination Centre, but I think that's probably the best option for that sort of particular site. Moving in then finally to the Wobble World site. Now this one's going to be very easy. I think it's just going to be home to House of Monsters for next year's Scarefest. It's going to have a new Lego Halloween storyline. Lego House of Monsters probably going to be called, or Legoland House of Monsters. Or just House of Monsters. They could learn the lesson. Many parts can learn the lesson. But I think a new Lego themed storyline is what we're talking about here with the House of Monsters family scare maze, which is kind of why I think they've sort of done a more family style maze for Mutiny Bay with Darkest Depths. I think that's just sort of filling the gap for House of Monsters ready for next year's Scarefest. So, moving into Angry Birds Land at Thorpe Park and what attractions they could do for their Legoland area. So again, like Angry Birds 4D, like I said earlier, a Lego 4D film, a Lego movie, Everything is Awesome live show, or some kind of Lego live show. Maybe, like I said before with the Cloud Cuckoo Land Theatre, maybe like a Lego Dimensions, bring like loads of different characters, get loads of giant mascots walking around the area and stuff like that, which would be nice. Now the Wild Hog Dodgems, I'd like to see them rethemed to bricks and do like a brick, bumper bricks and stuff like that. That would be pretty cool, and I'd love to see the design for that. It'd be a very nice interpretation of the Dodgems attraction, which is a very classic attraction. Now, Detonator Bombs Away, I think they'll get rid of the bombs away and they'll just keep it as Detonator. However, I think they're going to give it that Lego Extreme treatment. You look at the Wild Mouse coaster at the Legoland over in America, the Lego Technic Test Track, that's sort of got that sort of great movie race VR. I don't want to see the VR on it, by the way, on the drop tower. But I think that sort of similar theme, like the extreme theme, I'd like to see that go on Detonator just to give it that Lego treatment. The Flock and Shop, I think that'll be like just a new main Lego shop. Peckish, a new Lego Diner restaurant. Now the Angry Birds Battle Beams and the Angry Birds Land Arcade. Now this is an interesting one because this is what I want to happen. They could keep it as it is, and that could be the most likely option, just retheme it to Lego. Or what I'd like to see is the Battle Beams taken out, the arcade taken out, and then bring Timber Tugboat and Lumber Jump from Old Town into Legoland, retheme them as Brick Bouncers and the Explorer's Galleon, for example. I'm not very good on the spot with names and themes. But I'd like to see both those family rides brought into the Lego area from the Old Town so that all the construction work, trying to get rid of Loggers Leap and things like that, can just happen. Remove the children's rides so they're not in the way, ready to sort of maybe open up that area in a few years' time when we get a potential new investment on that site, if they are going to do that. But I think the main thing here, just sort of maybe if we do see those two family rides being moved over, I think that would pretty much confirm that work is set to be done on Loggers Leap's site, and I think we'll sort of get that confirmation that something new is coming to Loggers Leap's site in the future if the children's rides from Old Town, not Rocky Express, probably keep that for a while, but the children's rides, the Timber Tugboat and the Lumber Jump, move them over to the Legoland. So again, very interesting and two very different areas, apart from, of course, the 4D cinemas, which I would see let's transformed into live shows, but like I said, it's probably going to be a new Lego 4D film. And I think, you know, obviously Angry Birds Land will have less attractions with their retheme because it's smaller. It's a smaller area than Cloud Cuckoo Land. So I think Cloud Cuckoo Land is going to be one of the major of the two rethemes, if you know what I mean. But I do think that it's plausible to retheme both and still get a very successful result out of it. I think lots of theming is going to be ploughed into this. I bet. You look at what they did with the Lego Movie World over in Europe that's going to open next year. You look at that and you sort of think, well, you know, that looks... the theming on that's incredible. Why couldn't we do that here? So I think something like that would be nice. Now, of course, there is that option. If it's a Lego Movie World, then the Twirling Toadstool site... I don't think the Angry Birds Land retheme at Thorpe Park would have it, but definitely it's plausible for the Twirling Toadstool site as well. Of course, we had this sort of airboat, like this airboat attraction by Technical Park, or this like air bat, if you know what I mean, where it's like a bit like a Ghost Light Skyfly, but like not, if you know what I mean. This is from Technical Park. This was part of the 3 attractions for the Lego Movie World next year over in Europe. That type of attraction would be good for that site, and it would probably fill that thrill ride void. I think this will be a family area, however, I think that's a family thrill ride with a bit more extra thrill in, so I think it's something for us to do as thrill enthusiasts, while the rest of the kids and the families sort of go on the rest of the attractions. And of course the Imagination Centre, if that is replacing the Nickelodeon Out of Control and maybe joining it up with that old gift shop building, like I said, it's like a huge building opposite Driving School. I don't know what it's being used for at the minute, but it never looks like it's open. I'd like to see those two join together and sort of create a whole like Imagination Centre, like I said, and I think the inside of that would look brilliant. Maybe like a leg. Obviously, if House of Monsters wasn't being used in that area anymore, maybe they could have put like a Lego play park in, like some Lego themed play equipment, like one of those indoor playhouses, but like themed to Lego, if you know what I mean. But yeah, I think both Cloud Cuckoo Land and Angry Birds Land areas rethemed will both look incredible. So I'm really excited for this development. Thank you very, very much for watching this Theme Park Newsroom update from Alton Towers and Thorpe Park Resort. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and click the notification bell so you never miss a YouTube video. And for now, guys, my name is Coach Charlie, YouTube channel Dogster but built for Theme Park News. Make sure you leave your shout-outs in the comments down below for tomorrow's video. Keep living the coast life, and I'll see you guys in the next video soon. Take care, have an awesome day, my friends.